1618, a group of angry Protestants stormed into Prague Castle. They argued, they threatened, and then they grabbed two royal officials and threw them out the window. Yes, out the window. It sounds absurd. But this act of defenestration, the formal word for tossing someone from a window, didn't just cause bruised egos or broken bones. It started a war that would drag on for 30 years, tear Europe apart, and leave millions dead. This is the wild story of the Defenestration of Prague, and how a single window became the spark for one of the deadliest conflicts in European history. To understand how things escalated so violently, we need to step back. It's the early 1600s. The Holy Roman Empire, a massive patchwork of kingdoms and principalities, is boiling with religious tension. Protestantism, born from Martin Luther's Reformation, had spread like wildfire. But Catholic rulers, especially the powerful Habsburg family, weren't having it. In Bohemia, now part of the modern-day Czech Republic, many nobles were Protestant. But the Emperor, Ferdinand II, was a devout Catholic. And when Ferdinand took steps to limit Protestant rights, tempers flared. In 1617, Ferdinand was crowned King of Bohemia. Almost immediately, he began closing Protestant chapels and ignoring religious freedoms granted years earlier under a royal charter. The Protestant nobles were furious. They believed their religious rights were being stripped away and feared worse was to come. So, on May 23, 1618, a group of these nobles decided to confront Ferdinand's representatives directly. They marched into Prague Castle, into a room known as the Bohemian Chancellery. Inside were two imperial governors, Jaroslav Bozita of Martinitz and Vilém Slavata of Chlum. What happened next would go down in history. The Protestants demanded answers. Heated words were exchanged. Accusations flew. Then, in a sudden eruption of fury, the nobles seized the two Catholic officials and threw them out of a third-story window, nearly 70 feet to the ground. A secretary named Philip Fabricius was also thrown out, just for good measure. But here's the twist. None of them died. They landed in a pile of manure and soft soil, battered, bruised, but very much alive. Depending on who you asked, the outcome was either a miracle or dumb luck. Catholics claimed the men had been saved by the Virgin Mary. Protestants insisted they survived thanks to a well-placed dung heap. Either way, the message was clear. The Protestants were done playing nice. And this defenestration wasn't just symbolic. It was a declaration of rebellion. Ferdinand was outraged. The defenestration led to the formation of a Protestant Bohemian revolt, challenging Habsburg rule. But it didn't stop there. All across Europe, nations began taking sides. Not just over religion, but for power, politics, and territory. What followed was the 30 Years' War, one of the most destructive conflicts in European history. It involved nearly every major power in Europe. Cities were burned, economies collapsed, entire regions were depopulated. An estimated 8 million people died. And it all started with one very dramatic window toss. The Defenestration of Prague has gone down as one of the most strangely iconic moments in history. Not because it was brutal, but because it was bizarre. Today, you can still visit the very window in Prague Castle where it happened. And fun fact, this wasn't even the first defenestration in Prague's history. In 1419, a group of angry Hussites threw several city officials out a window as well, proving that, apparently, Prague has a long history of solving problems with gravity. So, the next time someone mentions a window of opportunity, maybe ask what floor it's on. Because in 1618, that window became the spark for 3 decades of war, millions of deaths, and a reshaping of European history. All because some nobles had had enough and decided to drop the mic and the messengers. Like and subscribe to Untold History in 5 for more unbelievable history, one wild moment at a time. Thank you for watching. See you next time. Bye.